This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Caravan of Garbage, where over the next 4 weeks, we're going to be taking a look at 4 of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies.
The current 4 that are out.
That's right. There is, of course, a new one. And maybe we'll sneak some James Bond video games in at the end. But don't worry, if you don't like them, just skip it. We don't care.
And maybe we'll put in some snippets from the movie No Time to Die. We'll just rip it off the internet and just put them in there. Just illegal clips of it. just breach a bunch of copyright laws.
We want MGM to come at us because we know that your company will fall apart again. And we will... Oh, no, Amazon own them now.
What are you going to do, sick that lion on us? That lion's got to be 100 years old at this point. I'll fight that lion. I'll do it. You cowards.
Leave a like if you could. I just want to give a little bit of a background to this movie, if you don't mind.
Please.
So Bond was very much on the way out after Die Another Day. Mm-hmm. We have looked at the Brosnan series if people do want to check those out.
Diamond Faces.
Yep.
British men, they're wearing electrical suits.
Invisible Cars.
Invisible Cars, oh my God, yes please.
And then, of course, that movie came out at a similar time to the Jason Bourne franchise, and everybody went, just do that.
Yeah.
Can we do? And Bond went, that's what we do.
Yeah.
We take a popular thing, and then we do it slightly later than that thing.
And sometimes it works a treat.
Yep.
And sometimes people go, that's just The Dark Knight, isn't it? But that's not this week.
It's a story for another day.
That's right.
So, interestingly enough, Pierce Brosnan, he was initially asked back for this movie. Although Die Another Day wasn't a good movie, it did break a lot of records, box office-wise.
Worst movie.
That's right.
Number 1 worst movie of all time. Big bad movie.
And so they thought, listen, we need to kind of raise the bar in terms of spy movies. It's not about gadgets and a man... just a very drunk man in his early 50s stumbling about a set. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
Not that's throwing... I like Pierce Brosnan. I shouldn't have said that.
Do you like him when he's got his Colonel Sanders beard? Have you seen that?
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, wow.
So they also would have to have paid him $30 million plus royalty. And look, they went, no, this is clearly, it's time to go in another direction. And this movie, despite coming out 4 years after Die Another Day, it's like there's a million years between these two movies.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, how much about this do you enjoy?
All of it.
Yeah.
It's my favourite James Bond film.
Same, I think. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I haven't seen some or any of the Dalton movies.
I've seen every James Bond movie multiple times, and yet this one, my favourite. Except, of course, for the 1960s Casino Royale.
Yes.
David Niven.
Thank God you brought that up because...
who else is in that?
Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers is in that.
Other people.
People we won't name.
Other comedians of the day that are dead and forgotten. Yeah, R.I.P.
And Ursula Andress is in it from Dr. No. She's
really?
She's in there as well, yeah.
As that character? It doesn't matter. So I think, though, it nails so much. It nails, the recast of James Bond. It nails the theme song. I think it's my favorite theme song. I think you disagree with me on that.
That's correct. Mine's obviously the 1960s version of Casino Royale. 7 James Bonds at Casino Royale. Went to save the girl and win the... Went to save the world and win the girl at Casino Royale. It doesn't matter.
That's how the actual song goes as well. They're just like, do you want another take? Nah, we'll just
keep it going. Yeah. They all changed their name to James Bond.
Yes.
All the agents changed their name to James Bond.
We'll probably come back to it at some point.
Yeah. But we cover the 1950s episode of the American TV series Climax! Exclamation point.
Was that the one with Jimmy Bond?
It is the one with Jimmy Bond, yeah.
We could definitely do that.
Which I didn't know until recently. Performed live.
Oh, brave.
Yeah, right?
Brave and bold. So I think it nails bringing back Judi Dench. It doesn't work in terms of like the continuity of the series. This is a reboot. The other James Bonds, the ones that are, technically owned by the same company, it's the same guy. I mean, sort of.
Well, I mean, it is the same director as GoldenEye. It's Martin Campbell. They brought him back to reboot it in the Brosnan era, and then they brought him back.
Such a good idea.
Yeah. And I guess, I imagine Judi Dench being in this was partly a case of, well, she worked so well in the previous movies. Yes. But also it might have been just like, Martin Campbell liked her last time. So
and we like her.
We like her too,
yeah. I think the villain is terrific, if a little abrupt in the way that he's dispensed of.
He's got a bleeding eye and an asthma puffer. What more do you need?
That's it.
He's that nerd you bullied in high school. He's back.
And he's got a rope.
He's got a rope for your nuts. Look out.
I also think it does the best version of parkour we've ever seen in a movie, with maybe the exception of Punisher Warzone.
Yeah.
Which is more done for a gag. But so the cold open of this, it's James Bond getting his 00 license. And the idea is that he has to kill 2 people to get that. One, he brutally murders in a bathroom. And the second one, he casually shoots at the desk. And the guy's like, it's quite difficult to kill a man. This dude has killed so many people prior to this moment, like with his bare hands. Almost certainly, right?
Do you think so?
He's a fucking lunatic.
Just off the books.
Yes.
Because to get a 00 status, you have to be assigned to kill 2 people, right? You can't just be like...
Oh, no, it's not just anybody.
You can't do it on your off hours. You can't be like, I was in a bar fight, I killed those 2 guys. Can I 00 now, please?
Yeah,
if you wouldn't mind. What I like about the scene where he kills the section chief Dryden is when Dryden's already dead body is flung over his desk.
Yeah.
You can see the little picture of his wife and kids on the desk, and I'm like, boy, this James Bond doesn't care about nothing.
Yeah, and he looks at the camera and he goes, "That's right, Nick Mason, I don't."
You got my letters. But I like the fact that in order to, he would have snuck in the office, taken Dryden's gun out of his drawer and seen that picture and been like, I don't care.
Yeah, I hear the pay slightly better. So the thing is as well, what I like about this version of Bond, and he's not everybody's favorite, but I think he might be mine. Bond has always been the worst. Yeah. And I mean, he's using Queen and Country as a thinly veiled excuse just to murder people. Mm-hmm. I think Roger Moore is probably the exception because he's the nicest, I guess.
Yeah, but from time to time.
From time to time, yeah. But Daniel Craig, this version, is just so transparently awful, which is what I think James Bond is. At his core, he's awful. And this guy is just James Bond with no finesse. You know? Mm-hmm. And that's what I like about it. But you probably know about the controversy surrounding the casting of this particular actor.
More like James Blonde.
Whoa!
Yeah, but
you got my letters.
The British press were not happy with the casting of Daniel
They're not
Craig.
known for their ability.
No, they're all getting anything right ultimately. But yeah, I remember there was some footage of Daniel Craig as Bond, and he was on a boat, and they were gonna I think drive him up the Thames.
The big reveal.
And then he was gonna,
We're gonna use that underwater boat from,
right.
From Tomorrow Never Dies, maybe?
Yeah. And present him to the press. But of course, for safety purposes, he had to wear a little life jacket over his suit.
Which I don't
People
think...
like, this man's a coward. He should have to drown for a movie. If that boat capsizes, he should drown.
Yeah, I mean, it was all of those things, and he's the shortest James Bond. I think he's 5'10", which you can't tell. Also, he'd kill every other James Bond.
We've done a video of that.
We've done a video on it. It's definitive. I remember I had a UK friend tell me he didn't like him because he looks like a Polish plumber. Because he's not I guess, traditionally handsome. Do you know what I mean? I mean, he's better looking than 99% of people on the planet. Uh-huh. But yeah, people didn't like him. But I think very quickly, when the first footage came out of this, and just the way he looks, the shape that he got into, it's calm down. This is actually gonna be okay.
When they did the as per mentioned, Ursula Andress emerging from the ocean at the beach, wearing his little speedos, I think people were like, like James Boner for James Bond. Said the British press said.
That's right.
You know what's interesting about this movie? This Bond, he smiles more. He smiles an astounding amount in this movie, and then never again for the rest of the series. When you rewatch this, you realize that this particular storyline just broke whatever humanity he had left.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's always he's smiling, he's being friendly to to hotel staff.
He's also
he has a little laugh with people sometimes.
He's not too grabby. I mean, he's a little bit grabby, but not in the traditional James Bond sense.
That's right.
I mean, again, he is awful, but. Yeah, you're right. It kind of does a good job of just wringing out the last sense of happiness in this man. I guess until we get to Spectre, I guess, but I don't think it sells it as well as this does. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the action in this? I mean, it's what's fascinating to me about it. Sorry, I've stepped on your question that I asked, but here we go. Here's what I think.
Hey, what do you think about this thing? Here's what I think.
So
I'll leave you 2 seconds at the end for counter arguments.
A lot of people. Who copy the Bourne formula of fighting. The Bournula. They cross the line, so in terms of the camera operation, so you lose track of who's who. Yeah. This doesn't do that. There's for example, a moment in a stairwell where they're just tumbling and fighting, and you followed the action the entire time. It's
great stuff.
How do you feel about the action in this? You got 2 seconds.
It's good. It's good, I reckon.
Well, is there any like particular moment that stood out, like the parkour chase?
Yeah, I
for
mean, the
example?
parkour chase through the construction
with that famous parkour guy.
Yeah, I think that sequence is great. But I think there are many great moments in it. And I think I'm not alone in thinking one of them is the moment where the bomb maker goes to shoot Bond, realizes he's out of bullets, throws the gun, and then Bond catches it like it is literally nothing.
My favorite.
He looks just like an exhausted man in an office who's been asked to repair the photocopier for like the 3rd time this week, and he's just like,
that's not even my job.
And then he just pitches it right into the guy's head. It's so funny.
It's really funny.
And there's also a moment in that where the parkour guy leaps a barrier, and then Bond just runs through it like an angry gorilla. I think
he doesn't even know what's on the other side.
Just goes through.
Just goes, this is probably drywall, or it isn't.
Could have been a pool full of sharks. He'll fight him. He doesn't care.
That's exactly it.
I love the part when they go to the Nambutu embassy.
Yeah,
and he just wrecks that diplomat. This pencil pusher just pulls a gun on him, and he just wrecks him in like 3 ways in 1 second. It's so funny.
It is funny. He just like everybody's just doing their job.
Yeah.
He just tears through like an escaped gorilla from the zoo.
Yeah.
Just throwing people about. I love it. There's also an action sequence in this because I hadn't seen this in a while that I'd completely forgotten, and that was the sequence at the airport. It goes for quite a long time.
Yep.
And it has quite a satisfying ending where the bomb maker guy ends up destroying himself.
And elicits another little smile from Bond.
Oh, he's loving
that
it.
Absolute psychopath.
He's loving it. He's never been happier. I think another thing this movie does well is the inclusion of Vesper. I think with these characters of the Bond women, they'll bring them in and they just often, and not always, there are exceptions, they don't do much. Or they're written weirdly and poorly, and they're just kind of there to kind of betray Bond, which, does end up happening here or not.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like nuance here, and there's a lot of chemistry.
There's a lot of chemistry. There's a lot of kind of more naturalistic dialogue where the later Brosnan Bonds are just a series of like pickup lines.
Yeah.
Just flying back and forth. But there's a moment where Bond and Vesper meet on the train, and he just point blank stares her down and says, "You don't think this is a very good plan, do you?" And she's like, "No. Why would it be? It seems like a stupid plan that would be in a spy novel in the 50s,
Oh, yeah.
Just a stupid plan made by a stupid man.
Just a plan for idiots. Well, let's talk about the plan, because he wants to basically bankrupt Lashif.
He doesn't want to. He wants to murder everyone in the world.
Sorry,
but they won't let him do that. so
the next best thing.
The next best thing is the MI6 want to bankrupt Lashif so that he will sort of run into the waiting arms of MI6 and they can get all the information on his sort of terrorist clients.
Which is Spectre. Not yet, because of legal restrictions.
Yeah, currently it is unknown terrorist organization.
Exactly, TBD.
That's right.
So that's fun. And I just think...
The terrorist big dogs. That's what they were called.
That's what they were called. I just think it's also really bold to just go, fuck it, you're watching 40 minutes of poker. And to be fair, it's broken up with like fist fights and a heart attack, etc. and so forth. But, they put in a card game and it absolutely works. And I think like Solo, for example, I think it kind of dabbled with this idea but didn't quite commit to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, if I have one criticism of the movie Casino Royale...
Is it that it's not Baccarat like the original book
No, I mean that's...
Was it Baccarat?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I'm going to let the commenters critique your pronunciation of that.
Is it pronounced Barack Obama?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think it's just, they used Texas Hold'em poker at the time because that was super hot.
Sure.
At that moment. But I just feel like, I don't know,
Is it the guy standing there at the back going, so who's got this card?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
What if he has this? And also everybody, and this is every James Bond movie, everybody always has the best cards.
Yeah.
In every hand, which is just very unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, I could win with those cards if I just had the best cards.
Yeah, but you wouldn't.
So I would just going to be like, I'm panicking.
Well, he's bleeding from his eye. What does that even mean? I shouldn't have beat this guy up at school. He's back. Yeah.
Also, what's James Bond's tell? Does he just not have a tell?
I guess. He's just like an Easter Island statue, you know?
Yeah.
I guess his tell is
he's not murdering anybody currently at the table.
Yeah. Also, once you give him a heart attack, all these like visible ticks would just be all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know what's real and what's not. And that's something I actually wanted to talk about. He's a fragile man, despite being enormous. You see him at moments like tend to his wounds. As mentioned, he has that heart attack. Often, torture and extreme like physical conditions are shrugged off by a James Bond-esque character.
Uh-huh.
Like James Bond, for example, in previous James Bond movies.
Sure.
And even like torture scenarios, he's just like, he's in a crisp tuxedo and a laser's coming towards him and he's like, I don't even need my balls or whatever. But this
guy needs his balls.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this torture sequence, my God. That's
all you need, man. You don't need a laser.
No, you really don't. You don't need
You need the people's laser. a rope. a knotted rope.
Yeah, you don't need a machine that drills into your memories or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah, disappointing stuff. But actually, I wanted to talk about specifically this torture because it was taken from the book, right? Mm-hmm. So it does, though, leave out a moment where Lashif cuts Bond's back so he bleeds on the floor and rats are in a feeding frenzy underneath the chair.
Bit much.
Yeah, I think it is a bit much. I think there's enough going on in that room.
Yeah,
You're focused
yeah.
on the naked man in the chair, the guy with the bleeding eye, and the rope.
Yeah.
That's all you really need at this point.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a good movie, I think.
Furious rats are just gilding the lily at this
Yeah.
point. I also love that when Bond's drink is spiked, like it looks like just a low budget like student anti-drug PSA. It's just like everything's slightly out of focus. It's just like, whoa, I'm freaking out, man. Whoa.
But just little things like, he grabs the salt, and you know what I mean? And it's just
Throw over his shoulder for good luck.
Yeah, it's for good luck. God, I hope I don't have a heart attack. This will get me through. Are you ready for license to trivia, Mason?
Yeah, for sure.
Or have you got other things that you want to say?
Look, miscellaneous notes. The absolute himbo that is Carter. The guy. At the outside, puts his hand up to his ear. Just a beautiful early 2000s man. Just working his way through MI6 somehow. I hope he's doing all right. That guy.
Do you reckon that snake got him?
Yeah.
Good.
Look, this will probably be. No, we'll save it for the trivia. That's all right.
No, chuck it in. Whatever.
I've just got written here. Nothing has ever looked more like a set than the construction yard set in Venice.
Oh yes.
At the moment, unless that is real.
No, I think they built a building to then sink or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty
Very
good stuff. Actually, there is something I wanted to ask you about. Is this the best dressed Daniel Craig James Bond?
Oh, good question.
Because I know you have opinions about his tiny little suits, which we might save.
I think it is personally, just because the point of the literary Bond is that he is not so much expensively dressed as he is inconspicuously dressed. Like
of the era.
Yeah, but also that he looks the way he does to blend in to an
Yeah.
environment. Like he wears a suit or a tuxedo when he needs to, and he wears casual clothes when he needs to.
Yeah.
Right? Like the reason Bond in the books wears a suit is because he's supposed to be a businessman in the 50s and 60s, and that's how they dressed, kind of thing. But I think that evolved into like Bond's always he's always the most fabulously dressed man in the room, and it's like,
Does he have a good watch? No, he's got the best watch, actually.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. But I mean, Lindy Hemming, who is the costume designer of this movie, and I think every Bond movie from GoldenEye to this movie.
Okay.
She also did the costumes for the Nolan Batman movies,
Oh, right,
among
okay.
other things. I think she does a great job in this movie as like sort of setting that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It's got some good casual attire.
Yeah. But as the movies progress, his suits get smaller and smaller.
Yeah. Maybe he gets
And
bigger.
it's both. It's a very dangerous Venn diagram is what's happening there.
All right, Mason, do you know what it's time for, though, isn't it? It's
it
a
time
license
for?
to trivia.
Oh.
007 or something.
Nice.
Daniel Craig quit smoking.
I thought that was the whole piece of trivia. Daniel Craig.
Oh, yes. No, that's
There it is. Wow.
Daniel
Wait,
Craig.
do I have another thought about his wardrobe?
I mean, he has a suit that she's like, that suit sucks and you look uncomfortable in it. And then she gives him an even better suit and he's like, this is a good suit.
I
How did
see.
you know my measurements? And she's like, I don't know, I'm amazing or whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And a classic example of nominative determinism. Lindy Hemming became a costume designer.
Oh, very good.
Pretty fun, right?
That is pretty fun.
Right?
My real last name is Average YouTube Videos. Not the editing. I just want to point out.
Yeah.
Ben and Lawrence, incredible.
Yeah.
License to trivia. 007 time, Mason. Daniel Craig quit
My
smoking.
real last name is sometimes I do half a joke and then the video editors like make it a full joke. That's my last name.
I love it.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig quit smoking to get into shape. Originally,
Is he
though,
back on him now? Back on the gas?
don't think so, because originally James Bond smoked 60 cigarettes a day. This is interesting. The bulk and
Which is a lot, except when you consider that he's not real and he can really smoke as many as he wants.
and it also was like the 50s. So,
Bond smoked 500 cigarettes a day.
Yep. And he lived for 1 million years. It
And
was
he's a giant!
it's a
And the British press are like, Daniel Craig isn't smoking 500 cigarettes a day and he's a giant and he lived for 1 million years. More like James Blonde.
So it's a Balkan mixture, his cigarettes. This is obviously from the books.
Oh, yes.
With a higher nicotine content than the cheaper varieties. Also, his average daily consumption of alcohol is in the region of half a bottle of spirits. So that's just some fun stuff.
not bad.
Because a lot of the books are just like, anyway, he smoked this kind of cigarette, and then there'll just be a whole lot of information about
What a
that.
wild world when you could just you got your own blend of cigarette tobacco, mate.
Sure.
Instead of just popping down the servo.
Just get
for
a
pack of Winnie Reds.
Pack of Durries, mate. Spark them up. Oh, I forgot my lighter. Yeah. You'd never forget a lighter.
He's just outside like the Ocean Club being like, hey mate, you got a spare cigarette? I gotta stop the international terrorist finance backer, the Schaefer, all right, mate? That's what I gotta do.
Producers Barbara Broccoli and
Yes.
Michael G. Wilson didn't secure the rights to Casino Royale until 2000 when Sony exchanged them.
All for, can I spoil this
Sure.
one? Spider-Man.
That's right, for
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Who do you think got the better deal there?
Definitely Spider-Man.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, it's Bond. It's huge. You can't really lose,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Because what are they going to do with one Bond movie?
It's true, yeah.
One, make another rip-off Casino Royale movie?
Yes, put all the Steve Carell. Put Steve Carell.
Why
in it.
not?
Steve Carell and bloody Seth Rogen.
It's fine.
Whatever that is. Who was hot in that era?
Whoever's
Those
in
guys.
old school.
Yes.
Only other actor, apparently, who was in serious contention, though a bunch of names came up, including Hugh Jackman, who has since come out and said that he passed. I don't know whether he was officially offered, but he saw what they were doing with like the previous ones, and he's like, no, thank you, Van Helsing is for me.
Are you going to do something different? And they're like, haven't decided yet. Are you going to do something different than bad movies? I'm not sure yet.
Well, thinking
I'll
about it.
pass then.
Yeah. It was Henry Cavill. But he was considered too young because he was only 22 at the time.
Oh.
So I feel like
That would be more age appropriate because Eva Green at the time would have been 25.
yeah, makes more
maybe?
sense. Yep, absolutely. It also broke a record for the most car barrel rolls in a film assisted by an air cannon.
Oh,
Did you know that?
did not know that.
You
No.
know that, yeah. You're probably familiar with this, though. When British Airways showed this movie on their airline, they blurred out the tail that showed Virgin Atlantic, the logo.
So as not to offend virgins.
Exactly. We were very upset at the time in theaters. No, that's not true, Mason. I've had sex before, and I may have had then.
You want to get this video demonetized? What are you doing?
And they also cut the Richard Branson cameo, which you probably remember.
Yeah, because he gets frisked at the airport, sure.
He does, yeah. But that guy's actually never been through a metal detector because he doesn't need to.
Yeah.
Here's something interesting. So Casino Royale, you probably know this, it was called that in France, but in the US it's known as Casino Quarter Pounder with cheese.
There we go. Yeah, I knew where you were going.
I've done it!
You did it. Terrific stuff.
Here's a real one. Sir Roger Moore was
Well, now I'm doubting any of these, honestly.
Sir Roger Moore was reportedly so impressed with this movie that he went out and bought a DVD of it. Like a bootleg?
Yeah.
Like, one of those dudes
yeah.
with like a suitcase filled with
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
just they're all on VCDs.
Yep, he went to the Camden Markets. He got himself a copy of Casino Royale.
That's
just
it.
one that was filmed in the theaters. You going to see this in the theaters, Roger? No.
No, definitely not. This one I enjoy because I think it speaks to James Bond as a character. So during the showdown of the final hand of the poker game, James Bond does not reveal his cards until all the other players have shown their hands, even though he knows that he holds the best possible hand in this situation. So he intentionally waited to rub it in, right? And this has got an official title in poker called the slow roll. And whilst it's not against the rules, it's considered very bad etiquette and would be critiqued harshly in a real world game because he's a dog, because he's a bad guy.
But I mean, the alternative is he kills you all. So, which one are you going to take?
What do you do?
Right?
And you probably know this because Pierce Brosnan revealed it in a Q&A in 2020. He actually met with Quentin Tarantino about doing a Casino Royale movie set in the 60s, a period piece Bond film.
And when was he approached?
This was after Die Another Day, or it might have been around that era when he was still involved in the franchise. So he said like that, a bunch of drinks together, and then nothing ever came of it. So there you go.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, the video game will go here.
Great.
You're
Here's a couple more. Here's a couple of fun facts.
Let's do it.
I've got a renewed love for Sony Ericsson products, so that's always good. I love searching on my Sony Vaio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, using my.
Are you going to be searching that landfill for that Sony Vaio?
You better believe I am. It's right near the Ocean Club. And I think the guy who we'll get comments, so I feel I should mention it.
Sure.
The guy with the gold Range Rover that Bond backs into a parking spot and crashes.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be Auric Goldfinger. Or at least a reference to him.
Well, I'm going to edit this out so we get the comments.
Oh my God, James.
Also, original car. We see it. We see his original car, don't we?
Yeah. I have thoughts about that.
We'll talk about it another week.
How many 1964 silver Aston Martins are in this universe?
At least 2?
Maybe.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about it. Anyways, the video game's going to go here, isn't it, Mason?
Because one has gadgets and one presumably doesn't have gadgets. Look, I've got a lot of
We'll
make a separate video about it.
Yeah, we will. If we're talking about Casino Royale, we need to obviously get into one of the key aspects of the Daniel Craig Bond series.
He's famous for it.
What's he famous for?
He's famous for 2 things.
Little briefs.
3 things. But in addition to that, going rogue.
Yep.
And then retiring from the spy game altogether.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
But is it every movie?
We're going to have to find out, aren't we? Yeah. Does he go rogue in this movie?
Hell yeah. Almost immediately after becoming a 00. He's like, what are they going to do? I'll kill him.
Yeah. And then he does a little bit of work for them, obviously. Collects a paycheck.
That's right.
He probably waited till Thursday when it's cleared.
Yeah. That's
and
exactly
then he's
right.
like, I tender my resignation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but how does he go rogue in this one? They're like,
you're not getting any more money, James Bond.
They're like, go on vacation. And he's like, I'll definitely go on vacation. I'm going to go on vacation so
I'm going to go on so many vacations. There's going to be so many explosions.
But then it's kind of a working vacation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then they're not going to give him any more money, remember?
That's right.
So he's just doing what he wants. And that's what I love about this character.
Yeah.
His complete disregard for really anything or anyone.
Except killing people. He loves it.
Yeah, he's got a lot of regard for that. Yeah.
But then, of course, he does retire.
Yes.
He falls in love with Vesper Lynd.
Yep.
And he's like, I've put in a good 4 or 5 days in the job. I'm probably due for long service leave.
I think so.
I'll take that, and I'll take my. They can pay me out, and I'm done.
That's exactly it.
But of course, they're not going to let him retire, are they?
They can't.
They can.
Yeah.
Maybe if you retire like before a certain date, you have to like pay for all the bullets you used or something like that. You have to pay for all the equipment, and he's oh, I got to come back.
Yeah. Oh, I can't have this hanging over me. Yeah. It's like a student loan.
Yeah.
Anyways, this has been Caravan of Garbage. You're not going to believe how many times we do this a week.
Once,
that's right, if you can believe that. But they actually go up early at bigsandwich.co along with the extended audio edition.
So it's twice.
It is, that's right. In addition to that, if you do sign up...
Even more half-form jokes, true
to my
name, yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
And there's no editing, so it's just whatever.
That's right.
We also have bonus podcasts. Our podcast, The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows, that comes out a day early. Early videos, movie commentaries, a bunch of other stuff. What do you think of this movie? Is it the best James Bond film ever? Yes.
I mean, a lot of people would say it's one of the later Daniel Craig Bonds. A lot of people like Skyfall a lot.
I like Skyfall.
Not many people like Spectre
as much. We'll talk about it. Yeah. We'll get into the problems with that film in particular next week. Anyways, I'm at Mr. Sunday Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Wikipedia Brown on Twitter.
Leave us alone.
Please. Oh, yeah, no, great. I was going to, yep.
We'll block you.
Yep.
Don't talk to us on Twitter.
We'll preemptively block you. We'll see you coming.
Nah,
we'll
block you. Goodbye.
Bye. Grab that jammy, guys. We'll see you next week.
This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
I mean, if you want. It's up to you.